You've got different.
Wow.
And mine was starting to deteriorate right on the reading. Remember, I thought it was a scratch? Right where you read.
Madam Mayor, we're ready.
Yay!
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this Tuesday, February 6th, regular City Commission meeting to order and ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Mayor Pam Triola.
Here.
Vice Mayor Scott Maxwell.
Here.
Commissioner Omari Hardy.
Here.
Commissioner Andy Amoroso.
Here.
Commissioner Herman Robinson.
Here.
Thank you.
If everyone would please rise for a moment of silence offered on behalf of Commissioner Amoroso. Thank you. Commissioner Hardy, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everyone. We'll take a look if there are any additions, deletions, or reordering. Madam Clerk?
Yes, Madam Mayor, under new business, we added a first reading for ordinance 2018-05. And late this afternoon, they deleted one of the contracts under the electric utility, item 13D3.
Okay, so we're adding,
We're adding item 12B to new business, and we are deleting D3, 13D3 from new business, Lake Worth Utility.
Commissioner Robinson?
I'd like to have some time, I don't know whether it's an addition to the agenda or not, but at some point, take some time to look for a date specific to talk about the penny sales tax and the future land use map. And if we have time, talk maybe a little bit about our hopes and dreams of the casino property. In public, I mean, not as a meeting, but I don't want to call it a workshop, whatever it is, but I think we need to have more conversation on some very important issues that the process has, in my opinion, moved almost too quickly with.
Okay, well, what we need to do then is, if you want to speak with the city manager about it, and you can put together an item for the agenda that can come up in upcoming meetings, whatever, they can add it to the schedule. If you want to add them, you can actually add items to the meetings.
Well, can we look at the calendar tonight to pick
You'll have to sit down and go through it with the clerk and the city manager, and then you guys will come up with it, but that's how usually the process for it is to create it, and to create an actual agenda item. And you can sit down with work them and get it into the next, into the upcoming schedules. You've made your point known that you want to have these meetings on these issues, so get to it, and you guys do it off camera.
And now we'll need to take a motion on this change to the agenda.
Okay, the change to the agenda, I'll entertain a motion. Moved by Commissioner Hardy, second? Seconded by Commissioner Amoroso. All those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right. Moving on, we will start with our presentations.
And it's right under your, Madam Mayor, it's right under your agenda, is her name.
Thank you. Patrice Schroeder, are you here? Hello, welcome, welcome. I'm going to come down and join you if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. Patrice is our 211 Community Relations Specialist, and we'll hear from her in just a second. But in the meantime, I've got a proclamation for her.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
I'll get you another one.
Okay. Whereas, often during different situations, people need help in meeting life's basic needs. And whereas, people may experience times of crisis and are not sure where to turn. 211 Helpline, with over 106,454 requests for help last year alone, is that central access point, providing individuals and their families the guidance and support they need. And whereas people of all ages can access 211 via phone, text, or online chat throughout the day and night, the City of Lake Worth is indeed fortunate to have 211 Helpline. And whereas 211 also helps link vulnerable populations to crucial services with specialized advocacy and support programs that include 211's Special Needs Helpline, 211's Help Me Grow initiative, Elder Crisis Outreach. And whereas 211's life-saving Sunshine daily telephone reassurance calls continue to brighten the lives of local seniors. Now, therefore, I, Pam Triolo, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim February 11th through the 17th, 2018, as 211 Awareness Week, and urge all citizens to be aware that the simple 3-digit number 211 helps them to access information and referrals to programs and services at nearly 4,000 sites in our community, providing assistance in such areas as healthcare, insurance, volunteering, food, daycare, mental health counseling, support groups, financial assistance, VitaFree tax help, and more. Thank you.
Not sure where to stand with this. Thank you for your support. We just appreciate it. Yes, sure. Of course. When have I turned down the mic, right? Well, I want to thank you all for having me here this evening. You know, our mission at 211 is just such a critical piece, and you know, 2017 was quite a wild ride, and we experienced a lot of phone calls and people reaching out to us with anxiety, fear, all kinds of concerns. We ended up having over 100,000 contacts for help from people of all ages and walks of life. We average about 350 to 400 phone calls per day and contacts per day as well. So we are in the trenches. You know, last year started off very volatile politically. We were getting a lot of people in distress and tears, just overwhelmed with lots of things going on through their minds. We experienced tragedy after tragedy with the hurricanes impacted by Harvey in Texas, and then Irma came and gave us a visit, and really our staff, we had a doubling of calls during the Hurricane Irma. On some days it was actually a tripling of calls. So we ourselves were being slammed by our own personal hurricanes as well. You know, it continued on with Maria and then Texas, the shooting massacres. This impacted the community around us. People were very much distressed and distraught, and they continue to be to this day. We are increasing our call volume. We are also experiencing through our, you may not know, we are part of the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline Network, and we have had a lot of endorsement through Logic. He's the rap artist who has been promoting his song, 1-800-273-TALK. We are the regional responder to that. We are averaging about 30 calls through that line, which is a good thing because that means the young people and young adults who are listening to that song are reaching out to us for help and assistance. We're doing this on a razor-thin budget, so we ask everybody out in the community to, as they learn about 211, I have materials out on the bench outside. Please take that, share that information. Let's get the word out in honor of 211 awareness. We also have a contest for teens. We would like them to create film. The topic is basically how a text can save a life of somebody who's in a suicide crisis. So I have materials also out on the bench, and I gave each one of you one. We really want to see our students engaged because we know that, you know, suicide is right up in there with the third leading cause of death amongst teens and young adults. So we want that to be there for them and let them know that we do have that texting program, which has been so beneficial for teens. Also, our online crisis chat. We get crisis chats from all across the country because we're part of the collective through National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. So, I mean, we've even got a crisis chat from Norway at one point. So it is actually global. So our staff are doing what they can to de-escalate these crises and really get people in a safe place and get them the help that they need. we mentioned, and I'm not going to go into the proclamation, that was long enough, but we do have programs for seniors, our elder crisis outreach. Those vulnerable, distressed seniors that don't know where to go to find services can call 211. Again, we have that Sunshine program. We're calling about 560 seniors through our 5-county area to really say hello, make sure they're okay, help them to age in place in a healthy fashion. So from a mental health perspective, some of these seniors have no one reaching out to them. We're the only interaction they have all day. So that's very important to share that word as well. And I really want to also promote our Help Me Grow program, families with small children. We actually can do screenings, developmental screenings over the phone to make sure their children are on track. This is part of a state program, and it's free. So there's a lot to offer at 211. Please help yourself to the material that's outside the door. And at any time you can call us, you can text 898-211, you can do online chat through our website. And I really don't want to take 10 minutes because I know you got other things to do. So I want to thank you for giving me your attention, and I appreciate your support.
Item 5B, our proclamation for Arbor Day. Is there anyone here to receive the proclamation? Go on up. Hello, gentlemen. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, lower our heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they're planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Pam Triolo, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth, Florida, by the virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim February 17th, 2018 as Arbor Day and urge all citizens to celebrate. Thank you. Up next, we have presentation from the City Tree Board.
Richard, we've got it loaded in there. She'll take care of it for you.
Okay.
Where are you going?
Is it here?
No, you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
Sorry, I said it off mic. Up next, the presentation from the City Tree Board.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the Commission, city staff, and the public. My name is Richard Stowe. On behalf of the City Tree Board and our staff advisor, David McGrew, I'm giving you an update on Tree Board activities since my last presentation on April 5th, 2016. On the evening of April 7th, 40 members of the public attended a Tree Board talk at the library called Invasives and Exotics. Former Tree Board member Christine Sylvain created a thought-provoking poster.
Resident Kelly Houston provided healthy and delicious snacks, and we had 3 engaging presenters. Lori Albrecht, Cooperative Extension Agent for IFAS at Mount Botanical Gardens. Kristen Mason, President of the Florida Exotic Pest Plant Council. And Susan Lerner, President of the Palm Beach County Chapter of Florida Native Plant Society. A week or so later, on April 16th, the tree board facilitated a tree giveaway at Lake Worth Earth Day. The tree board not only distributed the trees to city residents, but also selected and picked up native trees at Mesozoic Nursery and Smarty Plants and delivered them to the Cultural Plaza. That was a first. Following on the heels of Invasive Exotics talk, tree board member and certified arborist Susan Mason prepared a paper with management recommendations for the 17th Avenue North Preserve. Oops. Although Susan resigned from the board at the end of her term, we followed through with a number of her recommendations. We held 3 volunteer-driven preserve cleanups on October 15th, November 5th, and December 3rd, largely led by former tree board secretary Katie Curtis. In 2017, we held 2 exotic pest plant removals, one on January 7th and the other on March 18th. Based on the tree board's educational purpose and recent success of the tree board talks, we transformed the 12th annual Festival of Trees from a venue for live music performances to something resembling an outdoor conference. Besides downtown dance Lake Worth performances, the festival focused around 5 talks. Melissa Moyrid's presentation, Top 5 Small Native Trees for Downtown Lake Worth, Andy Tallier's Ficus altissima Preservation Project, Kristen Mason's Removing Exotics on Residential Lots, Stephen Byers' Getting Started as a Beekeeper, and Matthew King's Palm Beach County Natural Heritage Areas. The talks were well received. A photo of tree canopy on A1A north of Boynton Beach Inlet. In the spring and summer of 2017, tree board and members of the public focused on the importance of planting native shade trees on our city street right-of-ways during city road improvements project workshops. After residents expressed preference for shade trees at workshops, Jamie Brown requested that the board evaluate and recommend a list of native shade trees, which we did. So going back here. Nope. Hurricane Irma impacted Lake Worth's landscape. Argumba Limbo in the Cultural Plaza sustained damage. Let's get one more back. Sorry about this. Don't know where it is. Well, it was there somewhere.
It's just some of the slides were taken out, remember?
Oh, yeah. Okay, there it is. So, sustained damage and fell again. Down by Old Bridge Park, near the beach, Green Buttonwoods. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Down by Old Ridge Park, near the beach, green buttonwoods were bleached by salt spray, winds, and rain of Irma, but have since proved to be very resilient. The East Palaca Holly, in front of City Hall Annex, dedicated our 9th annual Festival of Trees in honor of our former tree board chair, Josette Kaufman, survived the hurricane nicely. The Veterans Day ceremony in 2017 at the Cultural Plaza gave proof that Lake Worth residents of all ages, given the choice, seek shelter from the sun, as people were mostly absent in the Cultural Plaza's sun-drenched lawn. Our most consequential tree board talk, the screening of hometown habitat and follow-up panel discussion took place on November 9th, including, among others, city resident Rob Hopper, senior scientist at South Florida Water Management District, and eco-art designer Lucy Cashavars. An example of, that's in the upper right there, an example of city hat racking at a half dozen Australian pines, a Category 1 exotic pest plant that is also on the city's prohibited species. We hope the city will take the next step and completely remove these hat-racked invasives from the golf course grounds adjacent to 2nd Avenue North. The City Tree Board's current roster, aside from myself, includes our secretary Monica Bellotti, Christian Manaya, Susan Guyau, and Joan Fetterman, and of course our staff advisor David McGrew. We are very excited to announce the 13th Annual Festival of Trees, which takes place on Saturday, February 13th from 10 to 3. We had a wonderful program at our 2017 Festival of Trees, but we heard that it was uncomfortable to sit in the sun. We listened to our audience, and this year we came up with a new concept, an outdoor classroom on the festival stage. This year, the audience will join our speakers on the Cultural Plaza stage. Nancy Leeds of Gumbo Limbo Nature Center will present coastal hammocks and mangroves at Gumbo Limbo at 10 a.m. Mark Torek of Florida Forest Service will follow at 10:30 with his talk, Why Structural Pruning is Important. Becky Alfonso of the Florida Bicycle Association will speak at 11:10 with a talk titled Greenways and Trails, Bringing People Back to Nature. Mayor Triola will read the Arbor Day Proclamation at 10:40. A keynote speaker, Victor Dover of Dover Cole and Partners, will take the stage at noon for his presentation, Native Shade Trees and Walkability. At 1 p.m., Elizabeth Plater Zyberk, our keynote speaker, will give her presentation, Green by Design. At 2 p.m., Representative Lori Berman will educate festival attendees about HB 521, a bill that prohibits local tree protection ordinances. And Downtown Dance will close the festival at 2:40 with captivating dance performances. This year, the City of Lake Worth residents will have an opportunity to earn a tree at the Festival of Trees by attending one of the presentations and meeting with a native tree consultant. Feel free to bring photos of your yard to show your native tree consultant. The consultant will help select a shade tree from the festival's pop-up coastal hammock. A valid photo ID and either proof of City Lake Worth property ownership or for tenants, notarized permission to plant letter from landlord is required to be eligible for a free tree. Visit the table by the festival stage for details. Trees are subject to availability. And in closing, if you're interested, I can tell you a little about Elizabeth Plater Zyberg. Ms. Plater Zyberg earned her BA at Princeton University in Architecture and Urban Planning. And her MA at Yale University. She also has served as a trustee at Princeton University and as chair of its university building committee during a period of campus expansion that included designs by noted architects Robert Venturi and Frank Gehry. Ms. Plater Zyberg currently serves as on the Dean's Council at Yale University's School of Architecture. A Malcolm Matheson Distinguished Professor of History at the University of Miami. Not only did Ms. Plater Zyberg serve as the University of Miami's Dean of Architecture for 18 years, from 1995 to 2013, but she has also been a visiting professor at Harvard, UVA, University of Houston, and University of Maryland.
Good job. Thank you, Richard. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Commissioner Hardy?
Mr. City Manager, I brought to your attention some Australian pines on East Terrace Drive that were treated similarly. And I just want to kind of, renew my request that they just be removed entirely, as opposed to, hat racked or trying to convert them into sort of a vertical bush. I think we should just remove the invasive species. The other thing is on HB 521, there's actually a Senate companion bill filed by Greg Stubbe. So, this is something that I think everybody should look out for. Basically, it's a home rule issue. It takes away the ability of local governments to kind of permit the removal of trees. so that, if these two bills pass together and they're signed by the governor, basically local governments will have no say as to how or whether people remove trees on or, on their property. So, I think that's important. We should probably keep watching it.
Just want to follow up to that for 1 second. When you mentioned the trees, because I understand what you mean about invasive species, but the ones on the golf course area,
Yeah.
there's a lot of birding people that say that those trees have lots of wildlife that are living within that area there. I don't know how,
I think we need to have a conversation.
yeah, we need to have a conversation about
Including
that.
the Sierra Club
Pick a date.
Conservation Chair, Drew Martin.
Okay. Talked about the,
I mean, I've heard him take that stand.
on what? I'm sorry, on
On-
the wildlife that exists in
He's-
there?
Yeah,
Okay,
and our former tree board chair, Gail Silverblatt.
okay,
On balance, I think,
yeah.
otherwise. But,
Oh, okay.
but if there's a lot of Australian pines there, so
Okay.
cutting down half a dozen.
Okay, I just
mean,
want
it-
to talk, I want to talk further about it, yeah, I want to talk with Dave too and see about that, okay?
Yeah.
Commissioner Hardy?
And I'll just say for the ones that are on East Terrace Drive, I've spoken with several of the neighbors there. They would probably prefer that they be removed.
Okay.
So
Okay. Commissioner Robinson?
I've been to a couple of neighborhood associations. They ask if there were any trees left over, or they could get a free tree and plant it on school property. Is that permissible?
I've been speaking with Carolyn Deli, who's the secretary of Tropical Ridge Neighborhood Association, and we're gonna, I was on the phone with her this afternoon, and she was asking for advice as to what tree would be suitable for the tree grounds, so we're moving ahead with that.
So do you have a specific number of trees you're giving away?
Yes,
Okay, and I just want them all to be planted in Lake Worth. And the ones that don't go to private property, could they be planted on our schools?
yes,
There's never any left over, they're usually cleaned out pretty
never
good.
say never, but yes, so we will definitely take that into consideration. And with regard to Mayor Triolo and Commissioner Hardy's mention of the House Bill 521 and the companion Senate bill by Senator Stubbe of Sarasota, the tree board does have that on the agenda for Thursday. People are welcome to come to our meeting at 5:30, and we will, take this under consideration and most likely advise the commission on,
Okay.
where to move with that.
Forgive me, I won't be there, I have the State of the City address that night, so.
Oh, yeah. No, I
So
mean,
don't-
we'll be sending
We'll
hopefully
set-
sending a letter out.
Let's set up a meeting anyway, we can talk
Absolutely.
about some of those things. Commissioner Amoroso?
And just for the record, don't cut any trees down until we have conversation up here. In the past, the tree board has always, their main mission was tree canopy in the city of Lake Worth. I think more than ever after the hurricane, we need to come back and focus on that. I thank you for all your work that you do, but I saw a lot of Boynton, Lantana, things going on outside of Lake Worth. Arbor Day, we plant one tree. Why aren't we focusing on, planting a lot of trees? Everybody else, do a whole campaign about, planting a tree in your yard for Arbor Day. And again, canopy. We used to do the tree giveaway. We used to monitor where they went. We used to follow to see what they look like. I have one in my old home that I go by on a regular basis just to make sure it's doing well. I think we need to step back a little bit. I know that it's been invasive and focusing on certain things, but I think our main mission right now should be tree canopy, and how do we get more tree canopy, and how do we monitor it, and focus on where we need it, especially after the hurricane.
And I will just agree with you, Commissioner Amoroso. That's why, even at the reluctance of our tree board advisor, I really pushed forward with putting together a earn a tree opportunity for city residents at this Festival of Trees. This is the first time since I've been on the board that we've had a tree giveaway at the Festival of Trees. So I'm 100% with you. And I will just say with regard to the golf course, there's been a lot of discussion about how prior to the introduction of Australian pines, slash pines were dominant in coastal Lake Worth. And those are also very tall trees that do serve the type of birds that, hawks that are on Australian pines that I would like to see, and members of the board would concur, and I think even our city advisor strongly feels that we should start planting slash pines on the golf course. And let's get it started now. This investment is certainly pays back. There's a lot of uncertainty with regard to storms and whatever. But, we know that it takes a while for trees to grow. So the sooner we will definitely engage you and other commissioners to move forward on the agenda that you're proposing.
Sure, follow up.
And just as a follow-up, the golf course being my district, as a native Floridian, the golf course to me is a sanctuary. And we have to balance, the golf course and the sanctuary. And, that's why I think we really need to have the conversation about what we're taking out. Because like the mayor said, we've had a lot of pushback from the birders and different people. I mean, there's foxes, there's birds, there's, so many things to consider. And we just need to be very specific in having the conversations before we do anything.
And I would just say, in response to you, that our consequential talk in November, that was, we had a panel discussion that followed the the documentary Hometown Habitat. One of the things that was really emphasized in that documentary was that natives are actually far more productive in supporting birds, bees, insects, on a 10-to-1 ratio. Douglas Tallamy, the professor at University of Delaware, has done extensive research on this issue.
In Florida?
Across the country, but he recently spoke in Florida in Vero Beach at a conference that the local Audubon Society in that county set up.
I have a question. I'm sorry. You and I have had lots of discussions over, and I wanted to actually say this in front of Dave, because I don't think we've had the discussion, but Richard and I have talked about. Richard came up with them, I'm sure, with your board and with everybody involved. But I asked him. I said, what are the suggested trees? We should, as a city, have the different trees and a list of the different types of trees, so that when we're creating new parks and new whatever, that we have our go-to list of natives that are going to be included into the greenway projects and the this and the that. And he and I went over those and whatever. I had one question for you about ornamentals, and this is the one thing that I wonder, when we're dealing with our planter boxes downtown and stuff like that, are any of the, I haven't seen any of the natives be that vivid in color. What do you do about the decorative boxes and stuff like that?
I do want to address that.
Okay.
That's a great question. And our keynote speaker at noon, Victor Dover, had a contract. I actually rode my bicycle through Winter Park in 1993. And back then there were overhead power lines. It was sort of sun-drenched. Last 2 summers ago, Kelly and I went up to Winter Park for a vacation with her children, and I found a completely reinvigorated Park Avenue, which is, if you will, the Lake Avenue of Winter Park. And the trees were planted along it, but more interestingly to me was the planters. The planters there was one coontie after another in these planters. And the coontie is a native plant to South Florida that only one particular butterfly can only survive when the coontie lives. So it was really striking, beautiful, and I could see putting native plants like coonties in our planter boxes, and would have significance to the public and visitors.
And I don't want to stop thinking about too. I'm throwing this your way. I'm using you to make sure you see listening to me. Forgive me, but the one thing that I've always mentioned is that certain cities have signature smells. Let's talk about the good ones. Meaning that when you go through certain sections of town, like when in Chattanooga, they had a certain flower that was blooming constantly on the trees, or magnolias and camellias, which don't smell really. But certain cities have these types of things where you can smell the jasmine hedges, or you can in up north the lilac bushes, or the this or that, and their signature good smells that people associate with certain places coming, because we're such a hometown kind of feel in our downtown. I would like to see if the tree board can investigate, adding some of those signature scents to the palette of our green projects.
I believe we already started a list of scented plants.
Well,
right?
he and I have been talking a while.
Yeah. So we
Thank
have
you.
that. The issue with the native plants, a lot of them are really not showy. They
Right.
have little, small, tiny flowers, and they're just not showy. That's been my experience. We can look and see what we can find.
We
but
can
typically-
combine, at least in
Yeah.
the planners
Yes.
stuff, so you have color and
Yeah,
and natives.
and natives, yeah.
That would be kind of cool. Commissioner Hardy, I'm sorry, I showed. Oh, and so one more thing, and the fruit trees
And the fruit
Yes.
trees.
in our greenways,
Yes.
please at least.
Yes.
Thank you.
We had one Fifth Avenue Greenway, an Eagle Scout project. He planted about 15 fruit trees in the Fifth Avenue Greenway.
Hello,
across from
sunshine.
the Highland Elementary. So we're looking at doing some more city properties, unused city properties, surplus properties, putting some fruit groves in there and recreation opportunities.
Awesome, thank you. Good job, Commissioner Hardy. Did you ask?
I'll abstain.
Okay, Commissioner.
And I
Adamson?
just wanted to comment, it's easy to say the planters, and just for confirmation, the DCA, the Downtown Merchants Association, actually pays for the plants and planters
Oh, okay.
with the garden club,
Yep.
and we've been doing it for years. And the reason we have hibiscus is because it's the only thing that has been living, because it cost a lot of money to keep
Yep.
replacing and replacing. And the hibiscus flower, and they live, if there's some kind of, complement that we can do between the two, fine.
We'll look into it.
But, they go through a lot
They do.
in an entertainment district, and even the man that brings his cat down to go in the actual killing the plants, I chase him on a regular basis. So you see a lot, but whatever we can do is a joint. We'll see what we can happen.
That's fantastic.
All right, thanks, guys, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Commission liaison reports and comments, starting with Commissioner Robinson.
Well, I've already made my comment on a request for conversation. The Kiwanis is having a get on the bus to celebrate Martin Luther King. The phone number for those tickets is 247-7125. NAPC is doing a taste of Lake Worth the night before street painting, Friday night, the 23rd. Or February, 23rd. I was at the Forum Club of Palm Beaches when the Secretary of Labor was there, and Lake Worth High was represented by 2 tables of students, and I was proud to see them there. The alumni of Lake Worth High is having a pancake or a spaghetti supper on the 11th from 3 to 6. The boards, I want to thank all the people that do volunteer for the boards. There are vacancies. The rec board, I believe, is an important board that has been inactive, and if anybody's interested in recreation or activity for young and old, I would like them to come forward and volunteer for the recreation board. And I'm looking forward to a policy for the memorials, that the trees or some of the other things that are being put in city property. We should have at least some oversight policy on those, standardized policy for memorials. I'm concerned about the maintenance of the canvas plywood on the storage units in Bryant Park. And that's That's it. I look forward to having a workshop.
Commissioner Mercer?
It's season, a lot going on. Evening on the Avenue is continuing. Bonfires on the Beach is a continuing event. The Firefighters Chili Cook-Off is coming up. Garlic Festival is coming up next week, followed by street painting. Commissioner Robinson had mentioned the Taste of Lake Worth. Get your tickets early because it always sells out. Followed by Palm Beach County Compass's Gay Pride event, the end of February. And then hopping over to the Hatch Community Art Show, Lake Worth local artists. It's a great chance to come out and see what local artists are doing. February 10th through the 17th at Hatch, the CRA's new arts building. What I've been up to, Palm Beach County League of Cities board meeting, also the Florida League of Cities board meeting in Tallahassee, followed by a very long 5-hour meeting with the Senate, sitting on the Senate floor watching them do work. And we actually had a bill, the $1.5 million for the Park of Commerce, and at the last minute it was pulled. So I assure you that we will be back up. I know the mayor was there a week before, chasing the bill and making sure it got to the floor. She did a great job, and I want a big shout out to Senator Bobby Powell. If you have been following it, we have no senator right now, so Bobby Powell has picked up the ball on our behalf, and also Lori Berman in the House, and moving that forward. We actually, the last day or so, I'll let the Vice Mayor talk about it. We've actually moved it back up to the floor, but we've all three been up there, fighting for money for the Park of Commerce. But it's quite interesting after sitting there for 5 hours watching the Senate work, and at the last minute they pull your bill. Was not a happy time, but we'll continue to fight for that. Sober Home Task Force, we met, and there's some great new bills moving through the House in reference to sober homes and what goes on in and around sober homes. Healthier Lake Worth, we had a great meeting. I also spoke at Pineapple Beach Neighborhood Association. I attended Bryant Park Neighborhood Association. The mayor was stuck in Tallahassee, so I went to Congresswoman Lois Frankel's roundtable discussion. Great discussion, a lot of people in the room talking about FEMA. If you remember, FEMA wants some of their money back from years and years ago. Lois Frankel has taken it up and said, no, we're not paying. The cities have suffered enough. That she's still working on that. So thank you, Congresswoman Lois Frankel, for that. Sober homes, homelessness in Palm Beach County, which falls back into sober homes and a little bit of everything there. Brightline was a big topic, what we can and cannot do in reference to Brightline, and then drilling off the coast of Florida. Absolutely not, and she's supporting Senator Nelson in no, you're not going to do that off our coast. So lot of conversation happening. I can assure you Lake Worth is at the table, both home and in Tallahassee, and I want to thank the mayor and the vice mayor. The mayor went up 2 weeks before us and chased people around Tallahassee. Both the vice mayor and I did the same thing, and it's quite interesting how you're running from meeting to meeting, trying to catch them in and around their meetings in the hall, and then actually watching them work or not work. Commissioner Hardy talks about home rule. There's been a lot of focus on saving home rule. Home rule takes away our ability to do what's best for you and the cities that we represent. And Tallahassee has what I call an attack on home rule, and it directly affects our sober homes and our ability to control medical marijuana. And then our big attack on CRAs. There's a big attack on CRA, and we want to make sure that we keep the CRA in our city. They do great work, and we want to make sure we have the ability to make those decisions. So thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Thank you. Just to follow up, I was going to speak specifically to my last visit to Tallahassee. We did receive a text last night from our lobbyist that Senator Simpson has in fact signed on a bill, and that will be heard for the $1.5 million. So we're still in the game, And I think we have a really good shot at it this time because Senator Simpson happens to be the chair of that committee. So if he's signing on to it, and again, we're talking about a senator that doesn't represent our city, taking it upon themselves to sponsor this bill. In fact, he told me personally, he said, look, when I reminded him of what was going on here, he goes, oh yeah, he says, you got a road and you can't get trucks in there, right? I said, yeah. He goes, that's a really good project. It's a really good project. So I'm very encouraged about that. And I was up in Tallahassee earlier in the month of January with Commissioner Robinson, and we had on the way out of the state capitol one afternoon, we had the opportunity to stop into the gift store because, Commissioner Robinson has to get postcards and everything when he travels, but just kidding. And I don't know what he needed. We walked in there, but if you've ever been in the gift shop at the state capitol, there's a whole wall that's got books from all over Florida, related to Florida. And he goes, geez, this would be a great idea to bring the Cottages of Lake Worth book. So I took 3 copies with me this last week, and they agreed to take those and sell those in Tallahassee. So we're getting a little bit of play in Tallahassee. So good call, Commissioner Robinson. That's all I have. Thanks.
Here, Mr. Hardy.
Sure. Just to piggyback on what Andy said about home rule, Thoreau said that the government that governs least governs best. I'll make a modification in that the government that governs closest to you governs best. And so when home rule is under attack in Tallahassee, whether it's being attacked by our legislature or whether it's being attacked by our Constitution Revision Commission, which is meeting right now. It only meets every 20 years. I think we should all take note, and I think we should all watch very carefully and let our voices be heard when, they basically try to nullify your local elections and make them pointless. With that being said, let's watch out for those bills, about permitting, about CRAs, which are huge, crucial to the development of the city. Not just our city, but cities all over the state of Florida. Let's keep a close watch and stay involved there. A few things. Went to my neighborhood association, Tropical Ridge. We talked about a few things. One thing that did come up was the maintenance of some of our greenways. I understand that they need to be looked at, and while they may not be officially linear parks, I think we should think of them that way as far as how we maintain them. We should really look at our community from the outside in, right, and see how other people would view those greenways and really make sure that they're pristine. The other thing is we had a conversation about CDBG, and I will spare you the details, but we've had a long journey with CDBG, right? Years and years ago, before this commission, before my 3 senior colleagues on this commission were elected, we had $1.2 million of CDBG money just sitting there that was going to be taken away by the county. And because of the 3 seniors on this commission, the county did not take it away. We spent it, and then the emphasis has been on spending the money as quickly as we can to make sure that we're current on the CDBG program. And so now that we've done that, we need to figure out how to integrate public input into that process earlier, so that we're not doing our research and getting these projects and basically presenting it to the public for a rubber stamp and a box checking exercise, to make sure that we're actually getting feedback from them very early on in the process, so that the projects that we execute with the CDBG money has real grassroots support and consensus behind it. So that's really important, and I hope that we can look at that process next CDBG cycle. And on that topic, the County Commission had a workshop on January 30th about CDBG. As some of you guys are aware, the county tried to change the way that they administer the program that would have negatively affected us a great deal. It would have injected a lot of uncertainty as to whether or not we would get our pro rata share because of folks like the people who sit on this dais all over the county. The county halted that program for this year. But the workshop that they had on Thursday was to see, whether or not they wanted to implement that program for the next year. So, the fight's not over. We have got to make sure, and, that's not just us on this dais, that's, those of you in the audience, we've done great things with that money over the past several years. And so if you care about it, you got to reach out to the folks who sit on that county commission dais and let them know that there need to be absolutely no changes to the way in which that program is administered. It affects us. It affects 10 other cities in Palm Beach County. And, we really need to be all over that. I'll be at Vernon Heights Neighborhood Association February 13th. That's at the Scottish Rite, I believe at 7 o'clock, to talk about a few things there. You know, if you're from the neighborhood, even if you're from Sunset Ridge or anywhere in the city, please come by and visit. And the other thing that I wanted to mention that Richard Stowe, chair of our tree board, has already mentioned, but I just want to encourage people to come out anyway. On February 17th, at the Festival of Trees at 1 p.m. at City Hall Annex, Elizabeth Plater-Zyberk will be there. And I'm not plugging her talk because she was the dean of the architecture school at my alma mater. But both she and her husband have had a lot to say about how cities can work best for their residents. And so when she opens her mouth, you want to be there listening because she has insights that are uncommon into the workings of urban environments. And so I hope that everybody comes out to that, and thanks Richard and thanks to the tree board for inviting her and all the other speakers that they have. And that's all I've got.
Okay. Before I do anything, I would like to have a moment of silence if I could. We lost 2 city leaders in the last week. One, former Town of Mangonia Park manager, Lee Leffingwell. He passed away on, Miss Leffingwell, forgive me, passed away on Saturday night. And former mayor of Royal Palm Beach, Matty Mattioli, passed away on Monday. So if we could have a moment of silence. Thank you. Our regards go out to their families. Okay, in other news, let me see. Did you hear right before the meeting tonight, we had a press conference? Anyone catch it on the news before you came here? We had a press conference, and what we did was we talked about our rate parity. Month of February, guess what? Per 1,000 kilowatt homeowner, we're 18 cents lower than FP&L. I want to thank my fellow commissioners, especially the senior members, as Commissioner already just referred to them. We created an ordinance, a law 5 years ago that basically forced the city to be at rate parity with FP&L, and we did it on the residential homeowner side per 1,000 kilowatt hours. So I'm very proud of staff and everyone that was involved in making this happen. It was absolutely incredible. I'm going to have something for you in just a second, but before that, I just remembered one other thing that I wanted to do too. I just want to mention the Tallahassee. I want to thank Commissioner Robinson. I want to thank the Vice Mayor Pro Tem Andy, and of course our Vice Mayor. Getting that information yesterday, Vice Mayor, I was elated to know that after 3 years now, where we've gotten vetoed on that project, and not having representation, I literally was flying around Tallahassee like a crazy person, trying to see everyone. I want to thank Al Jaquette, Bobby Powell. I want to thank Lori Berman for taking the time to just talk with us. But we really needed to get it into the Senate. And that's where it needed to go. The House, we've got lots of representation there, but the Senate's usually where it starts. And it was no easy task not having a senator to do that lifting for us. And we had to do it ourselves. So I really want to thank everybody for doing that hard work. It's not fun. I literally was trying to get in to see the governor and sat there for 3 hours. And I said, you know, if I start to get frustrated, I'm going to cry. And you don't want to cry and mayor sitting in front of your office for 3 hours, trust me. Because once I get past the crying part, and anyway, I met the assistant. First they gave me the assistant's assistants, and that wasn't quite good enough. Then I met the assistant, and I'll be going back to see the governor soon, so I'm really, really excited about that. But I want to thank Senator Simpson. Wow, what a wonderful man and wonderful staff. He's actually taking up that amendment, put it in under his name as well, and under just his name actually in there, and he's carrying our water for us, so to speak, up there in Tallahassee, and we're very grateful and very gracious, and I don't know, 4th time's the charm. We're gonna make this happen. I'm excited, but we've got so much great projects happening at the Park of Commerce anyway that we're working on too. So having this final piece to be able to get that thing moving and help our renewable energy prospects for it. Speaking of renewable energy, I think I'd like you to see a video based on our rate parity conversation today. Thank you to the EUAB for everybody who's helped us do so much. Check this out. First thing I wanted to do after becoming mayor was address every single thing that people said was wrong with the city. And the biggest one and the biggest perception was that our rates were higher than FP&L's.
There were so many families throughout our city who clearly were financially strapped with the burden of paying these excessive electric bills.
It was very important to the mayor to find rate parity.
I think you can overstate the incredible accomplishment of getting our electric utility bills to equal that of the surrounding market.
Bill parity is going to eliminate the perception that Lake Worth is not competitive with FP&L.
Everybody has bills they got to pay. It's always great to see one of your bills go down, and in this case your power bill is going down because Lake Worth made it their mission to lower your power bills.
The charm and amenities and all now are coupled with super cool, eco-friendly things that people like to see. Green energy purchase, all that. The rate parity was important. It's just because of the bottom line.
In order to achieve bill parity, we've reduced discretionary spending. We've reduced our head count through attrition while making the best use possible of the workforce that we have here, which have done an excellent job for us.
The new lower rates that we've been experiencing will allow us to upgrade to more efficient equipment in the home, which will then further and dramatically bring down our utility costs in the future.
The future of this city was not going to be having a reputation that we were unreliable or that we had the highest rates in Palm Beach County. And we had to get rid of that disincentive, and we did. And I'm so proud to say that right now we are lower than FP&L.
We've had a number of residents notice that their bills have come down. They've been very grateful and thankful. In fact, it's very pleasing to find out that there are actually people in this city who at one time were not able to use their air conditioning because utilities were so high.
Some of the feedback in the city of Lake Worth since we've reached bill parity, the people are very excited that their utility bills have gone down. We've had a lot of new residents moving to the city that are excited.
We've been able to now hear where people are very satisfied with their electric utility. They like the fact that they are the owners as citizens. And they also like our move into more progressive forms of energy. We just opened a 2-megawatt solar plant on top of an old closed landfill. And whether or not you can afford to put solar on your home in Lake Worth doesn't matter, because you automatically are an owner in solar electricity once you move into the city.
Our power company is owned by the citizens, and we put the profit back into our quality of life in Lake Worth.
Just like FP&L probably works in the best interest of their shareholders, we did the same, except our shareholders aren't stockholders. Our shareholders are the citizens of Lake Worth, and so we've worked very hard to lower their bills because we're working for them.
I will use the rate parity going forward to sell properties in Lake Worth, along with all the other wonderful decisions and changes that are being made to make it the coolest city in Palm Beach County.
The electric utility has done a number of things to achieve rate parity. The biggest issue was probably entering into new power purchase agreements in 2014, which reduced our costs from prior years. Simultaneous with that, in the last few years, we've also seen decreases in fuel prices on the grid, which have allowed us to lower our prices on a steady path to achieve the rate parity and bill parity that we're at today.
Having this weapon or tool in our bag will make life a lot easier and make decisions easier for investors, homeowners, and tenants.
We wanted to make sure that all the things that I had trouble with or that you have trouble with in the past are gone, because we're doing proactive things to eliminate any disincentives. And now Lake Worth, in my opinion, is the best town in Palm Beach County.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you all very, very much. On top of that, in our work that we're doing right now with CIMRIC, in reference to harnessing the power of the Gulf Stream to actually use it to subsidize our grid, We've done a memorandum of understanding with Florida Atlantic University, and we're going to be working on providing the funding through grants to get a docking station that's going to actually be able to harness the power of the Gulf Stream and turn it into electrons, and we'll be using them at our electric utilities. So this is a very exciting time that's coming here in the city, and I'm really excited about it. So I hope you learn more about it as time goes on. Vice Mayor?
I just wanted to make a comment. Somebody asked me earlier today if I had a comment about, this rate parity or electric bill parity. And I thought about it for a second, and I don't watch a lot of television, but I do see occasionally the FP&L commercials. And they brag about how they have some of the lowest electric costs in the nation. So if that is in fact the case, I think we can officially say that Lake Worth has some of the lowest electric costs in the nation, not just Florida. So that's pretty significant.
That's very significant. And also, just in closing my comments, my mayor's comments, please, I would like to personally invite each and every one of you to the State of the City address that is this Thursday at 6 p.m. at the Beach Casino building. Come see the state of your beautiful city. All right. Moving on to public participation of non-agenda and consent agenda items. Up first, Tom Schwartz, followed by Richard Stowe. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. It's approaching 1 year since the pool was closed, city pool, and it was an amenity that many citizens miss. It's a city feature and resource along the beach that drew many residents to live in Lake Worth. I submit that enough time has passed to finalize a reopening plan in the next couple of months. For those finding it difficult to be decisive and struggling with cost and sustainability, it is most appropriate to consider the city pool a benefit like city parks and therefore a quality of life issue. Certainly the golf course is a city gem favored by many, but perhaps not 100% sustainable by user fees, nor is used by all in the city either. Finally, the additional city revenue produced by the 1% increase in the sales tax has to be a compelling resource, not to be overlooked in order to move the project along. I advocate that it is proper and fitting for the mayor to address the status of the pool and city plans at her State of the City address this week. Thank you.
Very much. Richards, I'm sorry, let me read 531 South M Street, City Clerk, or just everyone remember to just give your address too. Richard Stowe, state your address, please.
Richard Stowe, 414 North Federal Highway. I just wanted to publicly thank Deborah Andreas, our city clerk. My presentation was data rich. The photos really took up quite a bit of data, and Deborah spent some time, improving on the presentation, and I truly appreciate her effort. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okie dokie. Let's move on to approval of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you put a card in?
Put a card
sir?
in? You need to bring it up. Come on.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll make special exception, please. Thank you. Just state your name and your address, please, if you wouldn't mind.
Good evening. My name is Craig Glover. I'm a resident of West Palm Beach. I'm here as a guest of Commissioner Amoroso. Welcome to everyone. I'm here because my wife and I own a home health agency, and we are honored to be able to serve veterans through the VA. I'm sharing information this evening about benefits for veterans and their spouses that most people don't know exist. So I'm asking the help of this body, anybody watching, to get this information in the hands of people that might benefit from it. There are two programs. One is a direct benefit for veterans only, and it's a very simple process. And this is for home health services like bathing, dressing, toileting, transferring, cooking, and even skilled care and rehab in the home. Two programs. Number one, for the veteran. If the veteran is, very simple process, if the veteran has been honorably discharged and they need help today, and they see a physician in the VA system once a year to determine that they qualify, VA physician checks a box. They're sent to a social worker. The social worker does an evaluation, checks a box. Within 3 to 4 weeks, that veteran can earn between 10 and 21 hours of care every week paid for by the VA. It's a very simple process. Only about 4% of vets who qualify get the benefit because they don't know. So we've got to carry that message to them. And I have handouts to leave with you. That's number one. In addition, for that benefit, there's 12 hours of respite care per month. So if there's a caregiver in the home, a spouse who's struggling, that benefit could help that spouse as well. That's one program. Program number two is for veterans and their spouses. It's a little bit more complicated. It takes more time. For the veteran, the qualifications are they had to have been honorably discharged, they had to have served during a time of combat, they must need help today, and there's an income and asset qualification. If they qualify for all of those things, for the veteran, they could earn up to $1,800 per month paid for by the VA for home health services. There's a second program for the spouse. Even if the veteran's passed away previously and the spouse gets older and needs help, that spouse could qualify for that same program. It's called Aid and Attendance, and that pays up to $1,100 per month. So there's a lot of information available, a lot of benefits available. If anyone, I'm going to leave information, the veteran can call me. I'm happy to share this with the community because these are our heroes. They've earned this benefit. It's going underutilized. And the more we share this, the more they'll get what they've earned. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much. You have one more card? Thank you, come on.
Hello, Kurt Jetta, 1022 Delray Beach, Del Harbor in Delray Beach. I wanted to talk about the opioid crisis for a bit. I know Lake Worth has been hit particularly hard about it. I'm a congressional candidate in the 21st District. I've been going to different meetings in municipalities. One thing that I've seen, a suggestion that I have that Dave Annenberg and Al Johnson on the Sober Home Task Force do that seems to be very effective is they review the statistics each month. And I know that they're being collected by the police force or the fire or first responders. And it's just something to make everyone aware. Kind of, are we making progress? Is it getting worse? Is it decelerating? Read it into the record, make the public aware of the issue. And I know that when you have visibility of the problem, it gets more attention. And really, we're at a step now where I know as local officials, you know about it. I just don't get the sense that people in the, in the public really understand the severity of it. Just one stat that always hits home for me is everybody talked about, oh, it's carnage in Chicago. 600 people died from gun violence. That's horrible. More people died from opioid drug overdoses in this county. And we have 40% of the population. So just appreciate your consideration of that idea, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Any more cards? Okay. Seeing there are none, we'll move on to approval of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Amoroso. I'm sorry, Commissioner Hardy.
Second.
Seconded by Vice Mayor Pro Tem Amoroso.
Could
All
I-
those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Could I thank the clerk for making the modifications to the minutes that we discussed at our last meeting? I appreciate that.
Thank you. Consent agenda, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved by the Vice Mayor, second.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hardy. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. On to public hearing. Item 10A. City Attorney, would you read the ordinance for me, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor, ordinance number 2018-02 on first reading ordinance number 2018-02, the City of Lake Worth, Florida, amending section 23.3-6 permitted use table within the city's land development regulations to allow health clinic urgent care as a permitted use in the downtown DT zoning district within the low and medium density office use category, finding the conflicting ordinance of repeal, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
So I have
Seconded.
second. Mr. Waters, this is first reading. Would you like to make a presentation?
Good evening. It's William Waters, Community Sustainability Director. This is a fairly simple request by an applicant who is building the property that's going to have a Starbucks right across the street. It's been reviewed by both the Historic Resource Preservation Board and the Planning and Zoning Board. They did recommend to you approval as it was submitted. I will bring to your attention that as it was submitted, the urgent care would be a permitted by right in the downtown. I do want to show you what downtown includes. Hold up. This is a general map of the zoning code and the zoning map, and all the areas that are in the pink little boxes around them are downtown zoning. The downtown zoning district goes from Gulf View to the east all the way to just west of the City Hall. And
You have a
our,
pointer?
No, it was.
there's a little teeny, a pointer doesn't work on the TV screen.
Could you turn it upside down, please? It's upside down.
It is upside down.
Well, I had it sideways because it would fit better, but.
Thank you.
So, and I don't know whether you can see the little cursor running around, but the site in question is right here on Dixie Highway. And then again, all the areas that are in pink that have the lines around them are currently zoned downtown. There were some concerns raised by both boards. They were not included in the recommendation to the City Commission. The Preservation Board was concerned about having medical offices or urgent care on Lake and Lucerne. Right now, medical offices are not allowed anywhere in the downtown. There were also questions about parking. There was a misspeak to the Planning and Zoning Board. Staff did, I was not at the meeting, but staff mentioned to them that it would be an approval by the board for urgent care, but as it's proposed by the applicant, it's permitted by right on the table, which does not require any review, just submission of a business license for application, a review, and then it goes through. We do have other types of levels of review, administrative use and conditional use. Currently, our administrative code and the permitted use table take into account the size of a project and determining whether it's administrative use or permitted use. As this is proposed, it would not, irrespective of the size, it would always be a permitted use. Right now, all medical offices are required to at least be administrative use, and if they are above above 7,500 square feet, they will be a conditional use, which is a board action, either by the Planning Board or the Historic Resource Preservation Board. The applicant is here, as well as, I believe, Joan Oliva, who's in charge of the CRA. This is in their area and is a project co-sponsored by them. I'll try to answer any questions you might have.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Oh, sorry,
Sorry, well, I had my
I'll-
thing up, but I didn't do
Yeah.
that.
Commissioner Robinson?
Yeah.
I just I don't want to see downtown medical offices. The location that's proposed is appropriate, but this is not a business that I don't think we want to see in Lake and Luzerne.
Commissioner Amoruso?
Okay, so I've met with the applicant, and my concerns, and I always thought, I totally support this project. I think that's the right place, but I always thought it was what would be considered spot zoning, that it would come to us and we would approve that particular spot. I do not support in the entire downtown or the pink locations, for the reason that I talked to the applicant about. It can morph into medical marijuana, legalization of marijuana if we get to that point. I support both of them, but I do not support it in our downtown corridor. And then also sober homes. We've had issues with contributing businesses to sober homes wanting to open in our downtown to do the medical piece. I do not support that. The applicant assured me that in his leases, he has in his leases that it would not morph into something that it is not. I totally support the project as it stands. But William, explain to me, so if we support this tonight, that means we're supporting everything in the pink.
Yes.
Why are we not looking, can we not do spot zoning and give him permission to do just in that location? Maybe I'm calling it something different.
Spot zoning is actually
Let's
illegal.
not use spot zoning.
Okay, what would it be called if we allowed him to just do it in that location and not the entire downtown?
Spot zoning.
Okay, so there's no other way to do it. I'm looking at your expertise to say, yes, I like this project, I want to do this project, but I don't support it in the whole
There was a
downtown.
great deal of discussion when we were doing the LDRs back in 2011 and 12 about medical offices, pharmacies and the such, not feeling that those were appropriate for downtown. And so this use can actually right now be allowed right across the street. and anywhere on the 4 miles of Dixie Highway. It just so happens that this is the edge of the downtown zoning district, and it just so happens to be at the periphery and would appear on the face of it to be an okay location, but it is zoned downtown. I don't know of a way to spot zone it out. What you did over a year ago with the drive-through was we wrote in allowing drive-throughs west of Dixie Highway. If that is the case with this one, you could that will be allowed on the CVS site, the site in question, the Knox Medical location, and 2 other properties where urgent care could be allowed in downtown. I don't think, but see, a drive-through is a little different than a use, and so that's where that
Could we do
I
the
need
use
a
west
little bit of
Dixie
legal
Highway?
help. Whether if we specify just a use to 4 properties in the downtown will be considered spot zoning versus an accessory item to a use which the drive-through was considered.
What about the use west of Dixie Highway?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I'm more comfortable with that than
I don't
going
know from a
east.
legal standpoint whether allowing it only for 4 properties out of a couple of hundred in downtown would be considered spot zoning or not.
Glenn?
I think we might be able to do that. I'm not sure if we could either do it that way, William, or just change the downtown zoning to just east of Dixie. And that's a bigger change, I know, but I think we can definitely come up with a solution. And you're not gonna be able to approve that tonight. We have to come back and bring back, I think, something on the west side of Dixie only. That might be a solution. I'm not sure that's spot zoning because you're talking the whole west side of Dixie in the downtown
Well,
area.
the other alternative would be, and it would reduce the intensity and density quite a bit, is to rezone from CVS north on the west side to down Dixie Highway mixed use. It would take the intensity, density, and height down because there's a greater allowance under downtown zoning. The other option that's nearby is TOD East, and that also doesn't allow urgent care.
Madam Mayor, if the commission is inclined to like this use in this location, but not open up the downtown, maybe if we brought this back in a couple of weeks and William and I brainstormed on it, maybe we'd come up with a solution.
I think you need to do that. Commissioner Hardy, did you want to say one more thing before I would suggest that?
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to. Again, I've spoken with the applicant. I like the idea of an urgent care in that location. The implication of what's happening here is a lot broader than that, which troubles me. And I'm wondering if the item that we're discussing today, if it has to be a by right. Use instead of having it be by right, could we have it be an administrative
Yes.
or like a conditional use? Can we
could
make
get the
that
table
change
back,
today on the
from there? You'll notice that most of the items in the category that's medium intensity, which is less than 7,500 square feet, are either an A or a C, and this is mostly the medical type things. And then if you look at the below 2,500, the medical ones there are all A's. So to be sort of like other medical offices or uses, less than 2,500 would be administrative use, above 2,500 would be a conditional use.
What is the more restrictive of the two?
Well, administrative use can be approved by staff. There are 4 criteria you look at in reviewing them. It usually can be reviewed in several days. It looks at nuisance-based activities, whether the proposed use would create a nuisance, and if it has a likelihood of doing that, there may be some conditions placed on the application. Look at traffic, noise, hours of operation. On a conditional use, there are usually some additional performance criteria that the board would review. And so the conditional use has to go to either the Planning and Zoning Board or the Historic Resource Preservation Board, depending on whether or not it's in a historic district. And there are separate criteria that usually provide a performance-based demand on that use, and the board can evaluate that, take testimony, and then apply what criteria they would like to have as a conditional use.
So if we were to amend this item tonight, instead of it being by right, to make it a conditional use or an administrative process, I don't want to slow this process down. This saga's gone on for a pretty long time, and I just don't want to slow it down. Would that slow down the applicant's ability to get the work done, you know, to get the tenants in so we can finally open the building?
Well, the space, as I understand it, is less than 2,500 square feet. I could stand corrected. That if we went with an A, that could be approved by staff. But keep in mind where we're going right now, that would allow an urgent care anywhere downtown.
If it were, as long as it were less than 2,500?
Well, we've got it in the proposed 2,500 or less would be an A. 7,500 to 2,500 would be a C. Conditional use requiring to go before a board. But again, the use would be allowed anywhere downtown.
Glenn, could you chime in?
Yeah, let me reiterate, you know, you've spent so many years in meetings crafting this really well-done zoning plan, and to try and on the fly maybe accommodate one use in one location might not be the wisest thing. So I'll repeat, if we could just postpone this so we can really work through this, because, you know, you don't want to harm one, you know, particular property. And the other side of the coin is, I don't think you want to create something where the whole downtown area may have a use that I'm not hearing anybody wants that use downtown. And why take the risk of opening that door a crack if we don't have to? You know, a couple of weeks delay shouldn't make a big difference. Somebody went into an area that they know is zoned not for this. Remember that. I mean, an applicant comes forward knowing what our zoning code is. So they're asking you to make an exception and a change. And so I don't see why you want to rush, you know, headlong into something that you spent so much time crafting a really good plan.
Okay, I think we'll have to come back and revisit this the next time. I do want to just personally, since you all have offered your encouragement for the project, I too have met with the person involved in that project, and again, on Dixie Highway, I don't have any problem with it. I don't want to slow the opening of this project either, but I also don't want to overlook the fact that no one here, up here with me, and I'm sure at home too, or at least almost no one, is in support of opening up that door on the downtown. So what else do you suggest here, Glenn?
Well, I would ask, I believe if we could delay the first reading to a date certain, which would be February 20th, we may not have to re-advertise it.
Okay, then I'd ask for
save the
a
applicants
removal of
some money.
Can I ask for a removal of the motion?
I'll do that.
Okay, Vice Mayor, and the removal of the second?
Commissioner Hardy.
Commissioner Hardy?
Sure, second. Yes.
Okay, and then basically, looking for a motion to move it to a date certain.
Second.
February 20th.
February 20th. Okay.
Thank you.
All those in favor state so by saying.
Excuse me.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Commissioner Robinson.
Your comment about anything north of Lake and Luzerne, does that mean you're not going to consider anything west of Dixie, south of Lake and Luzerne?
I'm not really following your question, but what I said
Well,
is that
what you said was you were going to look at only north of Luzerne.
Well, I would look at, you know, the two properties that are north of Lucerne and the two properties that are south of Lake. Those are the only four that are west of Dixie. The other one is City Hall.
But your creativity in coming back so that we can approve this project and open it up to west of Dixie, but not downtown.
We're going to look at that with the city attorney's office to ensure that it's not considered spot zoning, since it only involves 4 properties out of several hundred.
So I just don't want you to ignore south of Lake and Luzerne, west of Dixie, that's all.
Right.
No, they're not going to.
Well, but that's not what he said.
He was referencing the 4 properties that would be affected by it on that area. Commissioner Hardy?
Yeah, I think, you know, the impetus was, you know, hey, you know, the proposed medical use is currently right now north of, you know, Dixie Highway, and we're trying to accommodate that use. And so we would kind of change that to Dixie Highway mixed use, or mixed use, you know, whatever
you could.
Right. But there wouldn't be a need to do that south of there because there's nothing there that you know, we're considering. And the downtown, you know, mixed use category is a little more permissive than the Dixie Highway mixed use category, and so we kind of want to maintain that ability to have the intensity south of there, the intensity and the height and the density and all of that.
And what I've also heard, and I'm not sure whether we can add it, I heard, or I'm hearing from what you're saying, that you probably don't want pharmacies downtown. So we'll be looking at that, and if we can craft that into the permitted use table to not allow pharmacies downtown, then Knox Medical and CVS will be the last pharmacies in downtown.
Sure.
Okay. All right, we've got a motion on the floor in a second. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on to,
Item B is added on.
right, but we have
Madam
item A though still too, correct?
Mayor. We just did item A. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
I'm sorry. I apologize. New business.
New business. You know what, let's take a quick break and we'll come back. On that note. Oh, we're not.
We spent 7 years on
Break, we're taking a break for it. Hey there, how are you?
No.
Can we return to the dais, please?
Oh, so it's, and then you back out.
You need to.
And fire is okay, with the Greenway? Because they could drive down there if they had to. Okay.
Can we return to the dais, please?
You're busy. But we're talking pads, yeah. So these are gonna be slabs over here.
Okay, everyone back up here?
Or property owner.
Okay. We will
We can
resume
do
this
a
February
drop-off.
6th City Commission meeting. All right, folks, we're gonna move on to new business. Item 12A, ordinance number 2018-3. City Attorney, would you completely read the ordinance for me, please?
With pleasure, Madam Mayor. Ordinance number 2018-03 of the City of Lake Worth, Florida, amending Chapter 9 Buildings and Structural Regulations, Article 1 in general, Section 9-2. Building Code adopted by adopting the 2017 Building Code, amending Section 9-2.1 City of Lake Worth Administrative Amendments to the Florida Building Codes adopted by adopting by reference the City of Lake Worth Administrative Amendments to the Florida Building Code 2017 edition, providing for severability, the repeal of laws in conflict, codification, and an effective date.
So moved.
Moved by the Vice Mayor,
Second.
seconded by the Vice Mayor Pro Tem.
Again, it's William Waters, Community Sustainability Director. This is a fairly perfunctory action. Every 3 years or so, the state of Florida adopts a new building code. This is the 2017 version, which went into effect January 1. Yeah, no, it's 2018. And so we're bringing forward it to you to have it become our official building code.
Do we have any public comment cards?
No, ma'am.
Seeing there are none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. This is the item we moved on to 12B.
Yes, Madam Mayor.
This is an ordinance number 2018-5. City Attorney, would you read the ordinance, please?
Yes, ma'am. Ordinance number 2018-05 of the City of Lake Worth, Florida, amending Chapter 16 Pensions and Retirement, Article 2 Employees Retirement System, Section 16-26 Participation in the Pension Plan, to provide an extension of the one-time option for specified employees to remain in the existing benefit structure, providing severability, the repeal of laws of conflict, codification, and an effective date.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved by
Seconded.
Vice Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Commissioner Hardy. Didn't we have this on before? Wasn't this already a first reading?
It was extended once, but we're requesting another extension. I think this was until September 30th because we're still negotiating with some of the unions, frankly.
Okay. Got a motion on the floor and a second. Any public comment cards?
No, Madam Mayor.
Seeing there are none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Moving on to the Lake Worth Electric Utility. We are going down to new business, item D1, approval of the amended agreement with Vantage Energy Consulting LLC to perform an analysis of the city's energy cost, fuel mix, greenhouse gas, and transmission and distribution reliability metrics.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by the Vice Mayor, moved by Commissioner Hardy. Hello there.
Hello?
How are you?
Good, good. Ed Liberty, Director of Electric Utility, here to answer any questions you might have in this request.
All right, we've got a motion on the floor in a second. Any public comment cards?
No, Madam Mayor.
Seeing
This
there are
doesn't
none.
include charging.
Commissioner
stations
Robinson?
for cars.
Sorry, Commissioner Robinson, yes?
Doesn't include charging stations for electric cars, does it?
No, it does not, but that's something that we are studying separately. I do have staff working on a project right now to evaluate how many and where and what types of chargers we might install one day. So we'll put that together as a package and bring that to policymakers for discussion.
Excellent.
That
All
is the
right.
future.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. D2, purchase order to purchase 5 38 kV pole mount reclosers from GW Electric Company. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Hardy. Do we have any public comment cards?
No, Madam Mayor.
Seeing there are none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Item D3, agreement for high voltage maintenance and repair services between
That was
Oh, that was the
deleted.
one deleted. Sorry.
Deleted.
I thought you were through it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ed, thank you very much. City Attorney, do you have a report?
I have a request for pursuant to section 286.011 Florida statutes. I'm requesting a closed attorney-client session to obtain advice concerning the pending litigation of City of Lake Worth versus VV Verde South LLC, which is in the 15th Judicial Circuit of Palm Beach County, case number 5021-2017-CA013093-XXXXMBAI. Why do they have so many X's?
I don't know.
The date and time and location for this closed attorney-client session will be February the 20th, 2018 at 5 p.m. at City Hall. I estimate the session will take no longer than 1 hour. Those in attendance will be the Mayor, Commissioner, City Manager, myself, and outside special counsel for this litigation, David Tolsis and Brian Sherman. Court report will be present. Closed session will be confined to settlement negotiations or strategy sessions related to litigation expenditures. Thank you very much.
Thank you. City Manager.
Just a couple of things. Wanted to compliment and congratulate the commission, Mayor, on the announcement, the press conference you had earlier about reaching the bill parity. As you know, that's been a long journey, and I want to thank the staff who's worked on this over the last 5 years to get to this point. It's like I said in the video, it's not you can't overstate it. It's been a major accomplishment, and it's an amazing thing to take something that when you came on the commission, people wanted to sell. They wanted to divest themselves and get rid of this asset. And we've not only gone from that mindset, but through demonstrating through leadership, people now realize the asset that it truly is and what it can do for the city and does do for the city. And now we're talking about it's actually becoming the reason why some of the businesses we're meeting with are looking for the type of energy, the type of progressive community that we're offering. And it's now becoming an incentive. And that's an amazing journey in a short 6 years. And I can't thank you enough for providing that leadership and direction and continued commitment. So hats off. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You probably had something to do with it.
Exactly.
Well, it's a team effort, but again, you guys are the ones that have done it and started it. So kudos. The other thing is the State of the City speech. There's always an interesting set of topics, and I want to remind everyone this is a great opportunity not only to hear from the mayor on the state of the city, but also to meet with staff. The staff in the departments, our fire rescue, our sheriff's office, everybody sets up at this open house, as it were. And it's a great chance to get to talk and meet the staff level directors and ask questions. And I really encourage the citizens to come out and meet the staff that works for you. So those were the two things I wanted to remind everybody. Thank you.
And I like the way you said that too. It's like an open house. And I want everyone to think about that too. And again, my personal invitation to everyone at home too. Please, if you want to find out more about your city, come see us at our open house, which just happens to be the mayor's state of the city. But I'm going to have my fellow commissioners there too. And we're going to share a lot of great things that are happening within the community. But I know that our staff has so many really cool, interesting things to show you too. Some of the different projects that are happening is just not just innovative, but in a less formal word, way too cool that you need to check out. So I hope you'll come to that, everyone at home, and of course everyone here in our chambers too, please. Thank you also to staff and everyone who worked so hard on the video too. That was really a great video.
Look better out on the live broadcast. It wasn't choppy.
It wasn't. It's making me crazy. That
I know it's kind of fits and starts.
But again, thank you to everyone who worked on that too, and to my fellow commissioners. You had such great things to say. I was cheering you on because we didn't see each other's pieces until we watched that tonight. So I was like, oh, that was good. Oh, that was good. So thank you everyone for doing that too, and thank you all at home for joining us this evening and on our commission nights. We really appreciate your involvement. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hardy, seconded by Vice Mayor Pro Tem Amoroso. All those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Good night, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Mayor, Commissioners.